Hi, I'm Jake, and recently I came across an old Xbox game that I don't think many people can say they've played before. The game of question being called Fallback. Fallback is a FPS or first-person shooter, and despite it being an old game, not that many people have heard of it. It was never actually released on the original Xbox, only what's described as a beta was pitched to Xbox and Microsoft in general. They thought it was a great game, and they decided to put it on their lineup, but quickly thought maybe it'd be best if it was a surprise. They already had Halo at the time, which kind of replicated some of its features, and mostly it replicated it too. But of course, eventually it was scrapped and was never truly released. Until now. I actually managed to come across one of the beta copies, or known as the first fallback copy. But it's nothing special, just another Xbox video game. Or at least that's what I thought at the time. Playing through it was quite an experience. There was many glitches throughout the thing, but you can't expect that from an unfinished beta product. The disc for the game looked pretty much normal, but with no preview of the game. It just simply said fallback, with a sort of reddish, greyish hue. From what I know so far, the people that made the game, or the studio, also known as the G Studio for Game Studio, actually pitched a second disc with the actual beta itself. The beta contained 4 main missions, the first 2 being pretty uneventful, but the third, that's when they introduced a pretty clever twist. The first 2 missions welcome you to a new game, and basically, you play as the last real-known soldier, or at least one that has been through so many battles, and also is described to be elevated amongst other soldiers, almost on a superhuman level. You play as a soldier named Kyber. Kyber himself was basically a really rare human in the sense that he had more superior genes than most humans. As a matter of fact, people say that before the war in this game, before the upcoming events, there was a natural serum that was placed in most humans to make them more stronger. And the superhuman serum was actually meant to just keep civilians alive for longer, but in doing so it had some profound properties, thus creating Kyber, the probably first and last of its kind, an entirely different form of human life. You also fight against the key enemy of the game, also known as the Alliance. The Alliance aren't just aliens, they're basically people, or us, on a different planet. However, the Alliance probably don't know that, or at least that's what we think, and that's why they, thinking we're just some kind of aliens, attack us. After seeing that the starships are being defeated, that leaves one last starship, hence the following game that takes place. Also, a quick thing, within the first mission, it's basically kind of like a tutorial. You're on the ship and defeating the Alliance. After getting well acquainted with the controls and basically destroying the Alliance, our ship was then shut down, and the remainder humans on board that were Marines crash-landed, mainly back onto Earth. However, in the shipyards of Earth, there was still one less ship left. We took it up and began to fight through again, destroying more of their ships. Then, in the third mission, we then go to a vacant planet, also known as question mark, or that's what it is in the main mission title. A bit anticlimactic, but still a pretty good clever twist to make it feel more innovative. We're then introduced to an entirely new environment to roam around in, and after getting through the mission and near to the end, that's when we realize that something isn't quite right. A new enemy enters the game, almost zombie-like within their appearance. Their entire job is to consume and eat. Almost kind of like an enemy we already know. Think of the Flood from Halo CE, except their life cycle isn't just to consume and eat. It is to expand, and actually make its own civilized alliance. After fighting through, we then have one of two choices in the last mission, and that is side with the alliance to help this threat go away once and for all, or you can take a more darker approach, leading to what can only be described as the bad ending. Now, I should probably mention, the good ending just results in you doing the following. That, of course, helping the Alliance, and the Alliance helping humanity. The bad ending, however, is what you'd think. Basically, the result is you failed to stop this new infected threat, and they go to Earth. Kyber is infected, the last hope being extinguished, and Earth becoming nothing but a dead, lifeless rock, with few survivors, or at least all but one survivor anyway. The camera then pans over the now disgusting and brown-looking Earth, a once vibrant and bustling planet full of civilians now completely desolate, with echoes of its former inhabitants. The camera then goes to a first-person view, as if we're playing once again, which we are. We then realize that we're in the body of a civilian, and quickly we see a helmet on the ground. The civilian picks it up and puts it on his head. The helmet bears a striking resemblance to the main character's helmet, also known as Kyber, the Last Hope. And that's when we quickly realize that that is indeed Kyber's helmet, the signature grey helmet with the goldish visor and the black outlines on his armor. We then make our way to what appears to be an abandoned bunker, and here's what's really annoying about this kind of last part. You spawn with an out-of-date pistol. Despite what you usually would have in the game, all of this high-tech weaponry, but no, you are a civilian, and the only weapon you have is a really out-of-date M19 Colt pistol. It's not going to do much, but it's the only thing you really have. After walking around for a bit in the now grey-ish brown and almost completely black fog, you can then make out the remnants after the radar picks up friendlies on your, near to your position. However, your hope of being what appears to be the last couple of groups and being saved are very quickly dashed as the now green dots on the radar turn to red. And that's when you hear them. The screams. They all jump out from different corners of the map and begin to open fire, some having weapons and some not, some brutally trying to claw at you. And that's when you know that there's no end to this firefight. I desperately tried to camp in the building, killing all the zombies I could, when I quickly realized something. There was actually a way to get outside this area and continue on with the mission. It didn't have to end here. However, the ridiculous and absurd amounts of enemies spawning from each direction with weapons and just rushing me from every corner, I couldn't get there. It was way too difficult, even on easy difficulty, and I was quickly overrun and slaughtered. The game ends with an incredibly disturbing pan of the now destroyed planet and a very shockingly, almost graphically detailed skull, assumingly from the survivor. From what I know from digging around in the game's files, there is another ending just after this one, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get to it. I assume it has something to do with that secret path I could choose to get to another part of the mission. Maybe a good ending, perhaps, in this bad ending. And also, I did try to dig it out from the files, but it was locked, meaning I had to complete this game to get to that ending. But maybe you guys can have some luck with it. I've currently sold the game. I don't know who to, but maybe they'll have some luck at completing it. Who knows? But there is just one last thing I forgot to mention. Once you've completed the more disturbing route to this ending, you then get to see something at the ending screen. If you wait long enough at the title screen, you'll see this. Screams of the deceased humans echoing out on the now ceaseless, lifeless planet. If you stay on the title screen, you can hear them, and some people say that one of those 4 screams isn't just a stock sound effect.